I feel like I grew up from a really young age. I was very independent from a young age. My parents were always around, so to an extent. I just feel like I was on my own doing a lot of things, just out in the neighborhood with the kids and going to the mall, hanging out at the mall and the skate park and all that kind of stuff. In high school, I was struggling with severe depression, and so was my sister, and my mom was having bouts of depression. And later in life, now I found out my dad was going through things as well. And so we were all just kind of going through things separately and not together. And that just caused a lot of rifts and a lot of space.
How would you describe let's start maybe with your bio parents, your sister, your older sister, and then the step parents. Like, can you describe kind of like what your relationship is and was like with each of them?
Yeah, so growing up, I would say I feel like I grew up from a really young age. I was very independent from a young age. My parents were always around, so to an extent. So my mom worked an hour away from where we lived, and it was a very demanding job. So she would leave before we got up in the morning for school. And, with rush hour getting home, she would usually go out to dinner with my stepdad, and then it would be like TV time. But majority of the time she was out of the house, she was working, or she was working two jobs or this or that. And then my father, I would go to him maybe 2 nights a week. So I just feel like I was on my own doing a lot of things, just out in the neighborhood with the kids and going to the mall, hanging out at the mall and the skate park and all that kind of stuff. So from age 11, 12, I was doing my own laundry, I was making my own dinner, etc. So my parents were there, like they were involved, they were just working.
Sure.
My sister, I would say, growing up, we did not get along. We are very close now. We're best friends. That's been in adulthood. Growing up, I was the annoying little sister, right? She was shy. She was very much a girly girl, and I am not.
Okay.
I am more tomboy. My dad had 2 girls. He's very traditional, old school, macho, authoritarian. So I was his son, in a sense. The garbage had to go out, the bug had to get killed. It was Marissa, right?
Okay.
Marlena, my sister, wasn't gonna get her hands dirty. Would tiptoe around the house, not want to touch, dirt on the floor, kind of thing. So we were just very different, and we didn't get along.
I mean, I can respect that. I mean, I have an older sister. I'm the younger one. Yeah. So I can definitely, it's interesting to hear you say that though, because I know me and my sister, number one, we didn't get along because of the age difference, because she's 4.5 years older than me.
Yeah.
So that's significant. But also, I'm a boy and she's a girl, so that obviously
Same.
we just kind of that's why I was kind of laughing when you mentioned that. I was like, oh, that would be kind of interesting dynamic, I guess, if you see yourself in that way. So you said as you've gotten older though, you guys have gotten closer now?
Yeah, now when I moved out for college, I'm going to Florida. I'm going to start a new life, go off on my own. And about 3 months before I moved, my sister was like, I'm coming too. And so it was this, all right, let's see how this is going to work. High school was just difficult because I think we were all going through things. Mental health issues have been present in my family my entire life. And so in high school, I was struggling with severe depression, and so was my sister, and my mom was having bouts of depression. And later in life, now I found out my dad was going through things as well. And so we were all just kind of going through things separately and not together. And that just caused a lot of rifts and a lot of space. So in high school, I did not get along with my mom at all, did not get along with my sister. My sister and my dad were really close, and I always felt like something was off with my dad, which is a weird thing to say. And it's played out in our adulthood. We're not close now. We don't have a relationship now. And I feel like I was starting to pick up on that when I was in high school. I was starting to draw that distance. My stepdad is like my dog. Of all my parents, my stepdad, we've been good from jump. My stepmom, not so much. My dad, not so much. My mom, not so much. But my stepdad, I just liked him. He was chill.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked you about the way their relationships were, so let me take a step back for a second, because traditionally in a lot of homes, when you have a step parent, they typically tiptoe around the kids, right? Because bio parents are usually quite protective.
Yeah.
So that's why I was curious, because you said okay, again, we're having this big collaborative effort.
Yeah.
So I was wondering so how did they how were they able to interact with you? Did you feel like they were able to more or less behave like your bio parents, or did they also operate somewhat from a distance?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think my stepmom took on the hands off role. She was more babysitter as a stepmom. She was, can pick you up from school, can entertain you until your dad gets home.
The easier stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I was a kid. I didn't care. I didn't know any different. She would get me Rita's Water Ice and we would just watch SpongeBob and everything was fine. My stepdad was involved financially, which sounds weird, but I realized that as a child. Like I recognized that he was making that effort, which was significant to me because my stepmom was the breadwinner with my dad and my stepmom, and she never contributed. So my father was a police officer and he had 2 girls and he was trying to provide for us, which was much tighter, right?
Sure.
My mom was at first the breadwinner as well. Go women, right? We were just making all the money in my family. She was originally the breadwinner, and then when she left to pursue her passion in special education, my stepdad became the breadwinner, and he would just, if we needed $10 to go on a field trip, like it was coming from him. Just little things like that we noticed, but he was when it came to discipline or rules, absolutely not. He went to my mom and said, you got to handle this. And I think that respect that they had is why everything worked so well.
I can imagine.
Yeah, they wanted to be a positive figure in our life, a positive adult figure without overstepping bounds. And also my dad is a terrifying man. So I also think that my stepdad was like, yeah, I'm good. I'll sit over here and y'all can handle
your dad's
that.
there. I'm going to let him deal with
Yeah,
that.
exactly. But he showed up. I mean, anytime I needed anything, he drove a car with broken windows in Jersey in the snow for years to help me get my first car. Right. And I will never forget that. And I always said, when I become successful, like I'm hooking my stepdad up with a car. Right. And my stepmom, there were no hard feelings and, we had a good relationship, but I just don't have that same connection to her that I have to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what also I think is interesting when you think about, again, like their unique approach is that, so you had both 2 positive male figures in your life and 2 positive female figures in your life overall, but obviously stepdad, you felt a closer connection to.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, I think that to me, that comes to a point where I hope that becomes the norm for most people. I know that is not necessarily the case because I professionally deal with that. But I am always trying to impress that point. And again, I do it, so I understand that it is challenging. But again, I think it's most important about the kids. And again, if they could speak in the way that you do, maybe not as glowingly, but if they can speak and just say like, I appreciated the effort that my parents put into me. I know that maybe they didn't always get along, but they found a way to put those things to the side to make sure that like we were good. I think that we would be in a fundamentally better position, because then young people, as we would get older, we would have better examples. We would see like, okay, I cannot get along with this person, but I'm not going to demonize them. I'm not going to hate them. I'm going to still try to listen to them, because I saw that even my parents or my step parents, they didn't always agree, but they found a way to respectfully have discourse. Right. And I feel like that's kind of getting lost with people. We're in this very friction-focused society where it's very hard for men and women to talk about a lot of different things. And then parenting obviously is one particular topic, but it has big real-world implications for that next generation who have to witness and observe all of it. If you get what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel that that's why I have like a secure attachment. I had 4 parents who never left. So I feel that if these people can show up for me in this way, who, my poor stepdad, right? Like 2 girl, and my mom's crazy. Like I'm crazy, my sister's crazy, my mom's crazy. Poor Rob, if he can show up into a place where it's not an easy fit, it's a difficult dynamic, it's complex in so many ways, and just show up every day and not give up. And my sister was so hard on this man. She tortured him. She really gave him the old, and he just kept showing up. And so that's the example that I've had set to where if people really want to be there and really care for you, they're going to do it.
Yeah, I respect that. And again, even the reason why I asked you the question about the step parent, because I know it's very nuanced, right? Yeah. Especially, it looks different if one of the bio parents is there versus if they're not. If they're not, you can and if the other parent is empowering you, that's the other key part.
That's very true.
You can assert yourself more. But as you said, like my dad was there, so it's like, I don't need you to do that part. You can do more of the fun part.
You can pay for my field trip.
Right. I don't need you to do all the accountability stuff quite as much because my dad's going to kind of check me there. So we're good on that side. But no, I think overall, that sounds like that was a net positive experience for you.
It was.
Okay. Well.